We are before the great holiday called Shavuos, and we learn in the last chapter of the Pirkei Avos that every day a baskol, an echo, a voice from heaven goes out from the Mount of Horeb, which is the other peak of Sinai, and says, "Woe unto the creatures from the embarrassment of the Torah." What exactly is the embarrassment of the Torah? And what difference does it make if there's a voice that goes out? Who's listening? So the answer is that even though we may not hear, the very fact that a voice can be heard on Har Chorev, and from Har Chorev it goes to the rest of the world, means that in the back of our minds, in the depth of our soul, we say, "Oi, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. I'm just a creature, and I'm not fulfilling my purpose in life because I am not fulfilling what God wants from me vis-a-vis the Torah." And the Torah is not just the commandments of God to the Jewish people. These are also inclusive of the commandments that God has for all the peoples of the world. And so the voice in heaven goes out, and there are people who sense this. So most of you say with a bunch of kooks, a bunch of right-wing radicals. The problem is that what you label as a radical is really a normal person. A conservative believes that you're not allowed to kill babies, that abortion is wrong, that homosexuality is a deviance of the natural order of what a man and a woman are supposed to be like, that there's no such thing as transgender rights. And we believe in the sanctity of life, that you can't end a life just because it's become uncomfortable. There are many people who would deem most of the elderly that their lives are not worth anything because they're retired. They're not productive. If you ever read The Republic by Plato, anyone who doesn't work should go into the woods and die. If you're not productive, die. Don't make a difference how many assets you've acquired. You just get up and die because assets are for the living. And we don't believe that. We Jews, and those who believe in the Torah, don't believe in that kind of stuff. We believe in protecting our elderly. We believe in feeding the hungry. We believe in extending a helping hand to those who need. And we believe we should be self-reliant, and we should do what we need to do to fulfill our obligations as people. So all of this is part of the conservative agenda, but it's really the biblical agenda. It's really what God communicated to the people of Israel. And every day a voice goes out, and people hear it. They don't hear it with their ears. They hear it with their minds and with their hearts and with their subconscious. So what good is it if they're a minority? And that's why we say, oh, woe to mankind, that mankind has gone so far away that they can't even accept the obvious. That the obvious is not important to them, that they try to be politically correct, that they try to accommodate deviations, deviance, and in some cases evil. They've created a moral equivalency between a murderer and the victim. And if the victim happens to be Jewish, then they deserved it because they were mean and cruel. The only meanness and cruelness that the Jews have is that they want to survive. But let's just focus on what it says. Every day a voice goes out from Har Chorev. It says, woe to the creatures from the shame of the Torah, that they're embarrassed of the Torah words, that they mock the Torah. What good is it? Because in the psyche of the person, in the subconscious, no matter how much it's battled, ultimately the values of the Torah will be victorious. Not just the conservative. I'm reading a book by a person who proclaimed for 60 years that he was an atheist, not just an agnostic. And he concludes that there really is a God. Did this all of a sudden happen? Was a sudden burst of inspiration that suddenly God appeared to this guy? No. What happened was he saw that his arguments were false, and he faced up to them, that those arguments are really not true. And that's the same thing that's going to happen with society. Society realizes that it's false, that it's artificial. But as long as they pander to the right people, they're considered as heroes. But all of these professors, and all of these pundits, and all of these politicians ultimately will realize that the only truth is the truth of the Torah. That the truth is exactly as the values that have been given from teacher to student for the last 3,338 years. So accept the Torah with joy. And if you accept it with joy, then you will also accept it internally, which is called pnimius, and you will become an open believer, not just a concealed believer. All of you atheists are really concealed believers. The rest of us know that we believe. You don't know that yet.